right? Think about secondary school for a second. What kind of music were you listening to? And what did you wear? And who did you hang out with? Yeah? Think about that for a second. Because right now we're going to go down a memory lane for me with a guitar that I've had since my secondary school days. So, enjoy. Today on we talk about this here Epiphone Les Paul Custom from 2008. This guitar was a guitar I got in 2012, and I was in school at the time. I was 14, and I'm going to tell you all about the story right now. So I was 14 years old. I really, really loved Les Pauls. I've always loved Les Pauls ever since I knew what they were. I love them. The way they look, the shape of them, the sound, I think they're phenomenal. I love them. I already had a Les Paul at the time. I had a black Les Paul 100 from Epiphone. Had a bolt-on neck and a really thin body and a really thin neck also. I liked it, but I wanted the big one, the one which is thicker with the set neck. I didn't even know why. I just wanted it to be a proper Les Paul, Les Paul, Les Paul, please and thank you. So, I'm looking on like big websites. I didn't know that you could buy secondhand online. I looked at eBay and everything like that. I didn't really think that I should do that because I didn't have a job at the time. I didn't work. I had no source of income at all. But one day, me and the girl I was dating at the time in school and her friend, we decided to go to Canterbury, which is the city which is closest to where I lived. It was a 40-minute bus drive, which to me, as a kid, took forever. My first time ever going to Canterbury also. So it was like, oh, this is a big day out. I asked my dad for some money, like I would as a teenager, and he gave me £30. So I was very thankful for that. Great, cool. Get some lunch, maybe find something cool. No worries, fantastic. I heard that there was a music shop in Canterbury, right by the bus stop. So naturally, I told them, meet me later. I'm gonna go into this music shop real quick. I go in there, Strat Central, lots of Jackson guitars, loads of acoustics, violins. I was in Hobgoblin Music Canterbury, and they have a great second-hand section. And there was just Epiphones overload. There were so many Epiphones. There was a green Sunburst Epiphone, Epiphone Central. And these Les Pauls are exactly the kind of ones I want. They have the set neck and the fat body. I loved it. But what drew my attention was this custom here. It looked exactly the same as you see it now. It had the pick guard, had the tarnished gold hardware everywhere. It looked pretty much the same. It's been changed a lot though, so we'll get into that later. And one thing I noticed most about this was just how yellow it was on the front, but how white it was on the sides. And I thought that was so cool. And I'll show you that right now. This is what it looks like. Pretty cool, right? I loved it. So I asked to play this wonderful guitar, please and thank you to the sir, and I was just sat there on this like Marshall MG 100. This was the new line they brought out, not the ones that was bad. And I was playing through the amp, and I was playing like the classic, teenager stuff, like a bit of AC/DC, some Kansas, and I just fell in love with this guitar. I thought it was great, and I was like, oh wow, this is great, it's great. Everyone's in the shops like, yeah, that is great, you should buy it, ha ha, thinking like, oh, this 14-year-old kid's got no money, you should definitely buy it. And I was like, how do I buy it? To the shop man, they said, well, we do have you can put a deposit on it, you have a month to find the rest of the money. And I was like, okay, let's do that. How much can I pay? He says, well, they want 10% up front, and then you're good. This was up for £300. I had 30. Great, cool, I just won't eat. I didn't even worry about the food. I was like, nope, absolutely, we'll do that. So I give him all of my money, and I'm like, great, cool. And then I play it a little bit longer, and then I put it back, and I got to go meet the lady who I was with. And so off I go all day long. I'm thinking about this guitar. Oh, great, so good. I'm going to find all the money. It's going to be great. I have no idea I was going to find that money, I'll be honest with you. So I go home, I write on Facebook, how do I find the money for this? And I got friends who said, oh, you should write and record and release a song, people will buy it. Immediately I knew that's not what you should do. I'm writing and recording music now, and I'm making nothing from it. So I already knew at that age, no, don't do that. But I did get a good suggestion to start busking. And that to me was like, fantastic, okay, I'll think about that. And before I went out busking, I thought, okay, there's got to be something around here I can sell. I loved Transformers. I had all my Transformers everywhere, but I was like, no, they're not going to be sold. I'm not selling those. I had a couple PS2s and an old DS and all of the games that came with it. And I take that to this like Joe Schmo in a corner shop who had like his own secondhand games store. He was a bad man, I'll tell you what. I bought games from him before and they didn't work. That's how bad he was. But naturally I take it all the way over to him and he just sees all of this stuff and he says, best I can do is 25 quid. For the lot, are you kidding me? Like for a DS, which at the time was still a pretty popular console, and two PS2s, which you buy them now for more than 25 quid. That is just stupid. And my dad was like, you could do more on this, on eBay. You could get way more for your money. And I was like, I don't know if it's gonna sell by that time. I need the money now. So naturally, I gave them all to this guy for 25 quid. I'm glad that Dad let me have that lesson to be like, well, you got rid of all of that for pennies, basically. I'm really glad that he did that and wasn't like, no, we'll just sell it somewhere else. This guy's an asshole. He let me fail there, and that's good. I deserve that. I was an idiot. So now I have £55 to this guitar. That's not going to pay the rest of it off. So I do start busking. I start busking with a guy called Reese. It was great. We went to Canterbury and we busked every weekend because I was at school. And by the time I finished school, I get to Canterbury and everything would be shut. So I could only do it on weekends. I ended up busking a long time after that. And I'd go every other day or whatever, and you make some pretty good money from it. But on the weekends, and also never sang before in public, that might have been damaging to the potential income for busking. What I'm trying to say is this guitar is what taught me to sing. This was my incentive to sing and to perform and to learn songs. All of that was so I could get this guitar. I did that with an Ashbury acoustic, which will be on the show later. That's actually currently getting some work done, so I'll show you that guitar. That's a great guitar. I got that there. So yeah, I'm busking. It comes closer to the time. I'm halfway there. We're looking a bit, but every time I come home from my busking sessions, my parents will ask me how much I made. I say I made this much, and then I share that with Reese. So great, that was fantastic. But you know, I wasn't getting the right amount for the guitar in time, which was scary, and I really wanted this guitar. So my uncle calls me up, my Uncle Terry, thank you very much Terry for this. He calls me up and asks how much I need for the rest of it. I didn't want him to pay all of it because I wanted to still do the best I could. So he put a little bit of extra money towards it, which I'm really, really thankful for. And then my dad met me halfway on this guitar, which was just amazing. I'm really, really thankful for my parents. They've helped me out a lot, and this guitar got me many places. So I'm really thankful that he got me this guitar. We go up to Canterbury, and I'm here with the rest of the money. And naturally, when I go away from the shop and I'm on the bus ride home, I just want to play it the whole time. So I unzip it from the case, get it out, pop, and I knock it straight on the headstock against one of the bus poles. I remember my dad just looking at me like, well. But you know, I was like, it's okay. And I played it, and I loved it to bits. It was fantastic. I didn't even realize how close this is to a regular Gibson. It's got a great neck profile, the body width is great, the shape of it is really good, because the old Les Paul I had was really wide on this bit here. But this Les Paul has a really, really good shape to it. And I don't know why, but some of the Epiphone Les Pauls, this hump here is bigger and rounder, and the horn is just way too curved. It doesn't come to much of a point. This one still doesn't come to as much of a point, but it comes to a better point than a lot of other Epiphones. So that's good. I really lucked out with this guitar. The neck profile on it is fantastic also. I adored it. I thought it was great. Really good fun to play. It was heavy. I took it to school every day, basically. And here's the best part. The day after. Let me tell you about that. This guitar comes home with me, and the next day in school, we have like this, it's not exactly a non-uniform day. In Britain, we have school uniforms, by the way, and you have to wear uniform every day. But every now and then, they'll introduce a non-uniform day where you pay £1, every student pays £1, and then they don't wear school uniform, and then it all goes to charity, which is great. But for this day, it wasn't quite like that. This day you had to wear white, red and blue because of the 2012 Olympics. The Olympic torch was passing right outside the school front because it was on a main road and it was going all around the country because we were hosting the London 2012 Olympics. And this was the day it passed the school. So everyone was basically given a free rein to do whatever you wanted. And naturally, I wanted to do music. So me and my band at the time, we go up to the drum room and we just play all day. The first 2 hours, I'm like, go, 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 and then I'm just dead on the floor within the second hour because I just gave it all, because I was just so excited about my new guitar, being in the drum room, my ears are being blasted, I was loving it. But then, we get to perform as the torch is passing the school, which was super cool. So, my music teacher, Mr. Twyman, if you're watching, Mr. Twyman, hello, it's good to see you. I can't see you, but you can see me, hello, this is good. So we go out on the balcony. It was this giant balcony. It felt like the Beatles. And all the students were passing, and I had this new guitar. I was like, yeah, yeah, yeah. And everyone's checking me out. I was like, way, because I was all the way up the top, you see. And I was playing the songs. I played Times Like These, because I'm sure I did. And I played Learn to Fly. I loved Foo Fighters. I would always play Foo Fighters on this guitar in the school. And my dad was there as he's waiting for the torch to go by. And we hadn't actually come down yet, because we were also going to watch the torch. But that was the first time my dad ever actually heard me sing, which was pretty cool for him, I'm sure. But yeah, this guitar got me singing, got me performing, and I'm very, very thankful that I have it. I used it a lot when I was younger, but there were some flaws to the guitar which meant I couldn't trust it live, and I'll go into those now. The biggest flaw with this guitar was that for some reason the G string would just tune up, and then it would ping, and it would go all out of tune. And I had no idea why that was happening. I naturally thought it was the tuners. This guitar taught me a lot of things to do with guitar maintenance and maybe some problems that might go wrong. I thought it was the tuners. I changed the tuners a whole bunch of times to brand new Grovers of the same kind, the kidney beans. And that wasn't it, that wasn't the problem. So I was scratching my head over this. And then I finally read up that it could be the nut or it could be the bridge. And the bridge was corroded like crazy, so that got changed. And then the nut was still doing it. It was one of those Epiphone nuts where the grooves are really, really deep, and it had an extra slot for the G-string just because it was poorly cut at the factory. So 2 factors there, both causing havoc. I finally got those changed, but granted, it was way too late because I'd already had other guitars I enjoyed playing more. I'm sorry, but I love you. Another thing with this guitar is I always had different sets of pickups in. For ages, it was the original pickups, and they sounded great. They were great, to be honest with you. But they eventually changed to 57 Classic Pluses, but they were way too high output. And then I put just a matching set of 57 Classics in. They were okay, but they were a little bit toppy for this guitar. It's a really bright guitar. What's in there now, you might not believe this, but I have a Tim Shaw in the bridge. I was lucky enough to get a set of Tim Shaws. One's in here and the other is in the bridge pickup of the SG, because they're PAFs, so it's fine. And in here is a 59 neck from Seymour Duncan with the gold Tim Shaw pickup on this one too. They're the long ones that go down to the bottom. And then bridge was changed to Goto. The poker chip here has been changed to a Gibson one. I got that off a studio I used to own, which I sold. But yeah, I wanted the proper Gibson font. It's so particular, but the Gibson font is just so much better. I don't know why Epiphone don't do that. It's a font, guys, come on. And I also changed these knobs to exactly the same ones, but the Gibson kind, because you read them better because they're not painted on, they're actually grooved in and then painted, which I prefer. They're clearer also and they feel slightly better. And on the inside, the wiring harness has been changed. This is a recent thing, and the pickup switch has also been changed. But the wiring harness is a James Home of Tone 50s wiring harness. James is great. He's in a lot of my guitars. Any project I have going on, probably want most things from him because he's just great. They're wired by him, by hand, cloth wires, CTS pots, oil and paper capacitors, which I wanted because I wanted this guitar to be as close to this as I possibly could. The 59 reissue is my baby, it's my number one. I haven't done a video on it yet because I want to get really good at making these videos before I even tackle that, because that is my favorite. I want to do it justice. So I wanted to get the most out of this guitar. What I learned from this was the wiring is just as important as the pickups. That controls everything. And I found that in the previous pickups and the previous electronics, pickups might sound great on 10, but if I even touch the controls, everything gets lost and I get nothing out of it. So changing it to James Home of Tone 50s wiring harness brought this guitar to life. It was fantastic. Every notch in the tone control does something different. It's great. It never sounds woolly. They're really, really fantastic, and they're great for the money. I really recommend you get these. But I did do a mistake. I did do something a bit wrong. These have metric holes, whereas the pots that he gives you are imperial, because they're usually meant for American guitars, like Fenders and Gibsons of the sort. So you need to ream them out and get them a little bit bigger. I was going at it for ages, trying and trying and trying, but you know how it goes. There's no progress at all until there's too much. So now, these move around a bit, and I'm sure I could get them looked at and addressed. But there's a lot of money in this guitar already, and it doesn't get gigged that much. I keep it around the house as a memory, but also sometimes I'll drop it into, E flat or drop C sharp, because it's good to have a guitar you can do that with. Sometimes it comes out on gigs. When I used to host the jam nights, this would come out with me a lot when I wanted to use a proper Les Paul without taking out my 59. So this is just around the house right now, but I love it very, very, very much. And yeah, it was also refretted and re-radiused. Now here's the reason I did that. The one thing that I didn't like about this guitar was it felt very stiff, because the Epiphone radiuses are like crazy flat. At the moment they use a 12-inch radius. I'm not sure what that was, but I'm pretty sure it was a 12, because it just felt really, really flat. I had a blue Strat which also had a 12-inch radius, and I think that was too flat as well. So it just wasn't amazingly comfortable. And when I'd already started playing this for ages, the 59, that was just amazing. I think that's like a 10 or a 10 and a half, 11, whatever it is. It's just slightly nicer. So I had a friend of mine re-radius this, stain the board a bit, because it's rosewood, not ebony. So I had him stain the board a little bit. It took ages to take. And he refretted it with some Fender fretwire, because that's all we could find. It's an okay job, but the higher end of these frets, the string does kind of buzz out if you try and do a pull-off, which is a shame. But, for all intents and purposes, it plays great. It sounds nice and bright and snappy. And yeah, it's a very interesting guitar. I've tried to make this the ultimate Epiphone with all of the mods and stuff, but you can't even see it. It's not like I've put an Evertune on this. For all intents and purposes, it looks like a regular Epiphone Les Paul. But there's been some crazy upgrades to it, which I'm really, really proud of. I love this guitar. It's a lot of fun, and I hope you enjoy it too. Now this, to sum it up, is a story of how I learned everything I know about singing. It took me a long time, and I'm still trying to get it, as you can tell. But I'm really, really glad that I got this guitar. It taught me a lot, and I'm really thankful to my parents for getting it for me. And yeah, I hope you enjoy. If you yourself have a guitar like this or a story similar, leave it in the comments or let me know, and we can see about getting it on the show. Thank you very much, and I'll see you sometime soon. Bye.